We are creatures of the map. We find comfort in the line drawn on paper, the pin placed on a globe. We trust the horizon. We build our homes on foundations of stone, believing that the ground beneath our feet is a promise. The sea is fickle, the clouds are temporary, but the mountains are the great silent constants. They are the bones of the world. They are the definition of stillness. But what if one of them isn't? What if a peak you have known your entire life, a landmark of granite and ice, was simply not where you left it yesterday? This is the legend of An-Shal, the shy peak, the wandering god, a mountain that moves. In the desolate, wind-scoured valleys of the northern highlands, there is a place cartographers call the Inconstant Valley. It is a place of geographical madness. Maps drawn here are obsolete by the next season. Rivers appear overnight, and forests of ancient pine vanish, leaving only barren rock. The local tribes, the people of the high mist, they do not blame the rivers or the trees. They know the true source. They point to the great snow-capped peak that dominates the skyline, or at least where it used to dominate. They say An-Shal is not a mountain. It is a being, a geological entity so ancient that its thoughts are epochs, and its sleep is mistaken for permanence. It does not walk. It does not crawl. It simply is, and then it is not. It reappears miles away in a new valley, settling in for another century of quiet contemplation. The wind howling through its new passes is the sound of its sigh. The rumble of avalanches is the sound of it, shifting in its sleep. There is a story of a man named Theron. He was a cartographer, a man of cold, hard logic. He was the king's own mapmaker, and he arrived in the Inconstant Valley with a singular, arrogant goal: to finally chart the true location of An-Shal. He laughed at the local legends. "Mountains do not move," he would say, polishing the lens of his theodolite. "It is a trick of the mist, a geological illusion created by magnetic ore that fools the compass. I will solve it." The locals warned him. "You cannot map a mood," an old woman told him, her eyes the color of the deep ice. "It moves when it is not watched. It is shy of the compass. It does not like to be known." Theron ignored her. For 3 years, he chased the mountain. His frustration grew into a dark obsession. He would spend months triangulating its position, carving markers into the stone ridges. He would return to his base camp, triumphant, only to wake the next morning and find his calculations undone. The peak was gone. The markers he had carved now pointed to an empty expanse of sky. His maps became a tapestry of angry, crossed-out lines. His sanity began to fray. He was not mapping a location. He was charting his own failure. In the 3rd year, deep in winter, he gave up trying to map it. He would simply witness it. He set up his camp on a high opposing ridge, a place where the air was razor-thin. He had a clear, uninterrupted view of An-Shal, a colossal beast of black rock and silver ice, glowing under a full moon. There was no mist. There was no illusion. It was there. He sat in the frozen silence, his eyes burning, refusing to blink, refusing to look away. He would not look down at his maps. He would not check his instruments. He would just watch. For 1 hour, he sat. The mountains sat. The silence between them was as profound and ancient as the stars. For 2 hours. The cold was a physical pain, a needle in his bones. The mountain remained, mocking him with its perfect, impossible stillness. He felt a sudden, sharp sting on his cheek. A single, frozen tear had broken loose and was cutting a path down his skin. A moment of involuntary weakness. He flinched, closing his eyes for just 1 second. A single human heartbeat. When he opened them, the valley was empty. It was not a slow move. It was not a cloud. It was an absence. A void where 1 billion tons of stone had just been. The moonlight now illuminated a barren, empty space, a wound in the geography of the world. He looked, his mind screaming, his breath caught in his chest. He scanned the horizon, east, west. Nothing. He was alone, on a ridge, opposite a ghost. And then, a shadow fell over him. A new, impossible cold. He turned, slowly, his neck cracking in protest. He looked behind him. An-Shal was now there. Miles away, on the other side of the valley, where it had not been. It had not moved away from him. It had moved around him. It had flanked him. It was now watching him. Theron did not scream. He did not run. He simply stood up. He looked at the vast, silent, impossible presence. He took his life's work, his maps, his charts, his failed calculations, and he let them go, one by one, into the wind. They fluttered away into the night, like dead leaves. He had been trying to put a chain on a god. The legend of An-Shal is a metaphor for the impossible. We are told our reality is fixed, that the past is the past, that our grief, our regrets, our greatest obstacles are permanent, unmovable fixtures in the landscape of our lives. We set up our camps opposite them, trying to map them, to solve them, to find a way around them. But the wandering mountain whispers a different, terrifying and beautiful truth. It teaches us that the world is not as solid as we think. That reality is more fragile, more fluid, more alive than our maps can ever show. It whispers that even the most impossible, permanent, mountain-sized thing in your life can, in the blink of an eye, when you are not watching, simply change its place. And you are left in the empty valley, under a new sky, suddenly, terribly and wondrously, free.